Hey guys, it's Greg. In this video, I would like to show you BONESWAY. This is a co-op game for up to 4 players, and this is campaign game. So you are going to create your characters, and you will unfold the mystery, the story by solving puzzles, meeting NPCs, fighting with the monsters, and so on. The game is set in this, Mad Max-ish, maybe, world, post-apocalyptic world. So it is very interesting title, especially that it's also very approachable. I mean, the rules are quite simple, but fun. I mean, there's a lot of rolling dice, but in the end, there is also a way to mitigate the results. So it's not only just random dice based, and it feels a little bit like Mansions of Madness, maybe. So the flow is quite similar. You are going to explore your map. You are going to interact with points of interest and with NPCs. You're going to talk with them. You're going to find clues. And well, if you find enough clues, you will have to solve some kind of mystery in each of those scenarios, because the game is built with chapters, with scenarios. It is a whole campaign that is going to end in the end. So in this video, I want to give you an overview of BONESWAY, how this game works and looks, as this art style is completely unique and I honestly love it. For me, the visuals are a very important part of the game, just next to mechanics. So, and especially in a campaign game where you want to feel immersed in the world. So if you are interested in the BONESWAY, just check out the rest of this video. As you can see, BONESWAY is on the table. So this is a co-op game, adventure co-op game for up to 4 players. In this demo version, we only got 2 heroes characters. It says Scout and Berserk, but there will be more. And first of all, components of the game. So in here we have a book. Maybe I will take all those things. We have a book with locations, with different scenarios. As you can see, this is a prototype, so there's not much to show, but we have scenarios in here, and all the scenarios are going to be included in this kind of book. So here is scenario 2nd, and here we have scenario 3rd. So is it upside down? No. And here we have scenario number 3. So what different things we have on those pages of the maps of the locations? We have a turn over here where you're going to use the cube to match the turn. We have events, event 1, event 2. I don't know if you noticed, but in the previous scenarios we didn't have any events, so they are not going to be every single time. And there is a deck of random events. You're going to draw them, and something going to happen. Toxic smokes and seismic shock. Each player rolls stats test. If they fail, they receive 2 damage. So things are going to happen. Right, on the map, we also have spots where your heroes are going to spawn. So that's why I've put my 2 characters over here. And we have different type of elements. So if we have a face, this is an NPC, and you can interact with this NPC, talk with NPC and do things. And we have the circles. Those circles are like items or elements of this room that you can interact with. And so in here we have initiative track used only during fight. 2 boards for each of the characters. I mean, 1 board for each of the characters, two characters, and some dice, some cards. So there's not much, but again, this is a demo box with only 3 scenarios. So I guess a lot of new content is going to be available in a final product. But what else we have here? We have NPC book. So as I said, you can interact with NPCs, and in this NPC book, you are going to find all these dialogue options that you can have with this specific character. There's also adventure book, and this is basically a scenario book where you're going to find setups for each of the scenarios and outcomes of different events, and so on and so on. So in a second, I'm going to show you this. But let's go through components firstly, and the flow of the game. So, as I said, here we have a board of a character. I'm going to take it to show you closer what kind of information we can find here. So over here we have a track of advantage track, and you can use those points to reroll your dice or to change one side of a die to a different one. In here are your stats like strength, agility, and so on, intelligence, and a number of dice you're going to roll to test your skills. In here we have a track of how many actions you have left to use in your activation, and in here we have actions available for your character. This is the distance that your character can move when the action movement is used, so 2 squares, and this is the damage that you are going to inflict if you are attacking with your bare hands. And on the bottom we have a space for our skills and our hands to hold items, I mean weapons, that are going to be used during fights. Over here there's an inventory where you can just hold all the items that you're not using in this specific moment. And now, part of this we have some decks. So all those things and all those decks are specific for each scenario. So each scenario is going to tell us which cards are going to be used, which NPCs we are going to meet, which locations, like in here we have a safe, which items, furniture maybe, different things on the map. Everything is going to be set at the beginning of each of the scenarios. So for this scenario 3, we have this deck of characters, of items, and so on that are going to be used. And as you can see here, we have S01. So this Morgana is from scenario 1st, Lockers are from scenario 1st, and Observe is from scenario 1st. But the rest is scenario 2, and let's go straight to scenario 3. So in here we have cards for those locations on the board, or on a map rather. So Helen. Yes, Helen, so she's here, it matches, and so on. Murals, well, yeah, here, right? So those are the points of interest that you can find and interact with them. If you're going to interact with them, you're reading this text, and then you're flipping the card to continue with your interaction. And those cards are going to be available for everybody on the table, so everyone knows what possible things they can do. A part of those cards, we also have, for example, a combat deck. And this combat deck is also used in a specific way because, again, the scenario setup is going to tell us which cards are going to be used. They are marked with the 2 over here, some are 1s. So during the setup of the scenario, you're going to randomly, I guess, choose the specific cards, shuffle them, and this deck is going to be used by all enemies in the specific scenario. Also in this prototype we got few cards of the Nemesis or monsters maybe. So we have Parasite, Second, and we have Mesmerizer. And when it comes to characters, we got miniatures. So here is our Berserker, or Berserk rather, and here is our Scout. But when it comes to monsters, we've got standees. Those standees are not finished, but well, in here you can just see what to expect. I don't know if we are going to get also miniatures for them. And some test, sneak peeks of what we can expect in the future. So something more hardcore, and I guess those two are like bosses or something like this. So standees and our cards of monsters. On the cards of monsters, we have all the stats that those monsters have, and space for die to track how many health points they still have. So this is a deck of monster cards. In here we have conditions, so we can get different type of conditions like scared, tired, poisoned, weakened, and the second set of those the same, because each of the characters can only get one type of condition. So one character cannot get two scared cards, for example. So that's why we have two of each for two of our heroes. And when you are going to get one of those negative effects, those negative effects are going to influence your stat rolls. I am going to explain them in a second. I just want to show you those cards because the graphics in this game, and in general, this graphic design, art style, I'm obsessed. It's just fantastic. And we have some clues, so like very important items that you can find in a game. Those clues, when found, are available to each player, so you can track what you already know and what else is to discover. And we have also loot, so some items that you can gather and use them to help yourself during your journey. So those are the components. Oh yeah, and also we have dice. So white dice are used to make tests, skill tests, and black dice are penalties when you are, for example, under some kind of condition. And those dice are used to track health points of your monsters. So those are the all components. And now let's make some structure to this so you can get the flow of this game. So as I said, this is a co-op game for up to 4 players or 4 characters. And you're going to unfold the story, interact with different points of interest, and fight with the monsters. When the active character is performing their actions, well, they have 3 action points that they can spend to do different things. And the game is, let's say, split into 2 phases or situations. Regular situation where you can just walk around and the turns are going to pass. And the situation when the monsters appears and when the monsters are on a map, the turn track is on hold and you're going to fight until all of the monsters are defeated. So, going back to activation of the hero, you're going to have 3 actions, and in this regular phase, you can perform up to 3 actions. Each of these actions can be performed once. First action is move, so this berserk can move up to 2 locations, and you can just move by 2, even diagonally. And well, this is it. Run is basically the second movement. Because each of the actions can be performed once, and maybe sometimes you have to make a longer run or something. You need to want to have more action points. Movement points. That's why they created this run action also. There is an equip action, so basically you're just equipping something, and that's it. And there is an interaction, so I already mentioned you can interact with different points of interests. And there is also a skill card, so you can play one of your skill cards, and those skill cards are, I think, they are assigned to each of the heroes and specific to those heroes. And on those skill cards, we have a cost of advantage points. So sometimes we have to spend advantage points to use those cards. So advantage points are not only to change the dice, or reroll the dice. Sometimes you also have to spend them to activate your actions. And in here you have a symbol of swords, in here we have only swords. But some actions, I don't have those in here in prototype. Some actions, some those abilities actions can also be performed in this, let's say, story phase of the game. And in here we have information on what this card is doing. Each of those cards can be flip this card. So each of those cards is one-time use per scenario. It's flipped, and you can unflip it only at the end of the scenario, or maybe if some extra rules allows you to do so. And finally, we can also perform attack and exchange. So attack is not used in this scenario phase of the game, but you can exchange items with your other characters. And the cool part of this exchange phase is that you can exchange items even if you are not adjacent to each other. So it doesn't matter where you are, you always can exchange your items. And right, so I already told you about those statistics over here and how many dice you need to roll to pass the test. So in example of Berserk, he rolls 3 white dice. If he is passing this strength test, you have 3 dice, you're rolling them. Each blank is, well, fail, and if at least 1 success is rolled, the test is passed, at least at this core rules. Maybe some extra rules will be introduced, and maybe you will have to have 2 successes or something like that. And let's go back to those conditions that I mentioned. So let's use, let's use weekend. So every time you get those negative conditions, you are putting them like over here to show which of your stats are inflicted weakened by this specific condition. So in this example, I have a condition that weakens my strength. So again, if I'm doing my strength test, I'm rolling 3 white dice plus 1 black die because of this symbol. And again, I'm rolling those dice, and the difference is that every single skull is going to cancel 1 success. So in this example, I would have to cancel those two dice, and I don't have any successes, so my test is a fail. Now let's go to the interaction. So maybe I've moved over here and I am talking with this character. So I think it was Helen. We have some flavor text in here. She's sitting on the floor and something. And then dialogue NPC book page 6. So we have to open our NPC page 6, NPC book. Maybe I should also show you how it looks like, because the design of this game, the artwork, I mean, I know I already said it, but it's just phenomenal. So here is our Helen. That's her, and those are our options to talk with her. And as you can see, some options are just you can ask her and that's it. But those 2 options are only available if you have clue 2 and clue 4. If you don't have those 2, you cannot use those options. And well, you're choosing one of these, and then you are checking what she is responding to you. So I don't want to show you in details those texts. I don't know if it's just the demo and everything is going to be completely different in the final product, or well, this is the beginning of the story. So this is how you are going to interact with characters. You can talk with them. You can choose dialogues, and so on. If we would go to this save over here, for example, again, I need to find specific cards. So those are not those cards. So in here we have also a card for save. Again, we have some flavor text. We are going to flip it, and then there is something, and I have 3 options to do it. When there is this symbol of nothing, like just a square, that means that I don't have to perform any kind of tests. But if we have something like this, that means that I need to perform a specific test of, I guess, intelligence and agility, maybe. Depending on which one of you choose, you need to perform something different. And we are going back to this adventure book. So this is 3rd scenario. So this is 2nd. This is 3rd scenario. So in here we have some intro and setup for this scenario, obviously. And another thing is answers, environments, interaction points. And in here we have all the interaction points in this specific scenario, and there is a success or failure. So depending on depending on where's my card. Depending on the result, there was 7 and 1. We need to write paragraph and choose whether there was a failure or success for those specific tests. So a lot of things are in the books, and I think it's a very clever idea just to put all those things in those 2 books, and you can just quickly check what is going on, especially that those things are not written in here, so you're not going to spoil your game. And this is it. So this is interact action. Skill cards I already told you. Equip this is basically an equip. And now let's go to the combat. So as I said, combat happens when enemies are spawned on the map. So I'm just going to put them over here, just to, I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, more or less. I'm going to put them so they are, I think, more visible than as a standee. And what happens when monsters are on a board? So as I said, this story phase stops and you're going to fight with enemies. You are going to put all the tokens for enemies and your characters that are in play into the bag. So I think those are the tokens. You are going to put them over here and shuffle, and you are going to create this initiative. So randomly you're going to choose tokens from here and put them on this board. Is it? Well, let's say it's this one. And another one is, it's this one. And this one. So I don't have token for this enemy. Oh yeah, there is. So this I was for this enemy. So let's say this is how I chose the tokens from the bag. And this shows us the initiative of the round. So we're going to start with this yellow scout, then berserk, and then monsters. So during fight, you can again perform 3 actions exactly like in this story phase, but this time the attack action is available to you. And now I just want to tell you more about the attack action. So we have 2 characters. One is with hammer and second one is with gun and with knife. So we have 2 types of weapons. We have melee weapon and range weapon. Let's start with melee weapon. So this guy is standing next to him. Next to him in this game, or adjacent, is basically everywhere, diagonally also. So he's standing next to him, and now we can perform the attack. So I should take the right card of this enemy. This is this guy, Mesmerizer. He has 10 health points, so I should set this dice on 10. And what kind of information we have here? The distance, so the movement, how much damage this Mesmerizer does, and also how you can protect yourself from this damage. So if you perform this agility test, every time you have a success, you can mitigate 1 damage. Oh yeah, I also should mention that each of the characters, they also have armor and, well, health points. So firstly, you're going to reduce your armor, and after that, you're going to reduce your health points. This track is different for each of the characters, but also there are attacks that are going to surpass the armor, even if you have it still on yourself. Some attacks are like piercing attacks, and they are going to attack you directly. So here we have this Mesmerizer, and now I can attack him during my attack action. And what kind of options I have here? I can just do crush attack, and when I'm doing crush attack, I need to perform this again. I don't think it's visible enough. This strength test, so I am rolling dice. If I have a success, I am going to perform 3 damage. But I also can perform this more powerful attack, Meat Grinder. But this one is going to damage my item. So after using Meat Grinder, flip this card. So unfortunately, you can perform a lot of damage, but you are going to have to flip this card, and it's not going to be available until the end of the scenario, or again, some opportunity to repair your weapon. And again, as I said previously, we have those actions, so skills. So those skills are available during fights. So for example, here, when you receive damage, reduce the damage up to 4 points. When, for example, this test of, agility test is not going to work. Flip this card, take 2 damage, choose an enemy next to Berserk. The scout can perform an extra attack action on their next turn against this target. So as you can see, we also have some interaction between heroes. This unit, until your next turn, all attacks directed at your allies within 2 squares from your position are directed at you instead. So again, you are going to cover them, like you're going to taunt them to attack a Berserk. So the game basically is about testing your different skills and stats and mitigating the bad rolls. Those advantage points are very important. As you can see, you can have 4 maximum, and every point that you would get more than 4 is lost. Or you can give it to another player. But if both players are maximum of advantage, then the point is lost. So the fight is quite simple when it comes to this attack, melee attack, and then when it comes to attack using a range weapon. Again, here we have a distance, so you have to this enemy must be in a distance of 2 squares, 1, 2, and you need to draw line of sight. So line of sight is basically a line from the square where your hero is standing to the square where the enemy is standing. If at least one line is not obstructed by any wall, well, you have a line of sight. So it's very simple. You don't. This line of sight is not obstructed by other miniatures and so on. It's very, very simple. And well, this is it. I mean, after activation of a hero, another hero activates, and then monsters. So as I said at the beginning, those cards are set up created during the setup. And let's say I just draw this attack card. The parasite moves and attacks the character higher on the initiative tracker among those not yet targeted. If the attack cannot be carried out, then it attacks the nearest character. So everything is explained here. You are going to activate parasites, and they are always, at least according to those cards and the rules that I read, they are always attacking the characters that are at the beginning of initiative track. And if this character was already attacked, so we have to flip this token to show that this character was already attacked in this turn. Another character is then picked. So that would be Berserk. And when enemies attack, this is always the damage they inflict. So 4, and 2 3s. And you can only mitigate those damages by rolling those dice for agility tests, let's say. And you're going to fight each other until all of the enemies are defeated. After that, you're going back to these turns. Those are going to be unfrozen, and again, turns are going to pass. So turns are not passing when you are fighting with enemies. So this is the demo of BONESWAY, co-op adventure game in this specific, amazing world with just spectacular, at least for me, art work, art style. So if you are interested in this title, just check out the description below. And thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one.